Hello and welcome to Unprofessional Engineering. My name is James.
And you get Luke.
Luke, we're going to tackle a topic that everybody's been writing in about.
Everybody?
At least two buddies.
At least two buddies.
Formula SAE. Going to take a look at the history of it, how you get judged, which isn't nice to do, but you get judged, how to make the sweetest Formula SAE ride possible. All sorts of good stuff in this.
I think a little bit on SAE too, because I just assumed the only thing SAE did was college cars, but apparently they do a little bit more than that.
Yeah. Let's talk about what Formula SAE actually is. How about that? Do you want to start or do you want me to?
I want to hear off the top of your head.
Off the top of my head, I would, if I had to describe it in my own words, I would say that SAE International Formula SAE program, it's an engineering design competition for undergraduate and graduate students.
Oh, I didn't realize graduate students
Yeah,
did it.
I guess grad students can do it too.
Okay.
But no like professionals. Like you and I are not allowed to take part in it. Not that anyone would want us to, but we are allowed to kind of give guidance and feedback.
You're like
We just
an
can't.
advisor.
Yeah, we can advise. So the competition provides participants with the opportunity to enhance their engineering, design, and project management skills that they learned in the classroom, which is pretty helpful. I wish I would have done more of that. I talk about my senior design project fairly often on the podcast. I think this would have been pretty helpful to have hands-on.
So State College has an SAE
They
team.
do, yeah.
Did you just not participate?
No, I did not participate. One, I don't like people. Two, I'm not very smart, so they probably wouldn't have wanted me anyways.
It was like you had to like qualify to be like.
I don't think so.
They don't
I
want
think you just signed up.
anybody.
I had enough trouble like studying for my classes. I didn't need this on top of it.
Gotcha.
I did know one person who was on the team. It sounded kind of interesting, but I also think that it's either for the people that are really smart that have all this extra time or the people that don't actually really go to class but they focus on this stuff.
Gotcha.
That's what I gathered at least. So yeah, the concept behind Formula SAE is, I didn't even realize this. It has its own like fictional manufacturing company that's contracted a design for your team for this small Formula style race car, right?
Yeah. So what I understand is the students will conceive, design, fabricate, develop, and compete with a small Formula One style vehicle.
They do.
Just top of my head. That's
Top of your head, that's what it is. Yeah, it's kind of interesting. So, I mean, quick summary, right? They come up with the design. They do the computer work all on their own. They manufacture the parts and slap them together, and then they race these suckers, and they're judged on a base of a bunch of different criteria.
So the thing that like why did they decide to go with like a Formula style car?
I don't know. So I guess I do know. How about this? Do you want me to tell you why?
I want to know why.
It all started back in 1979 with close friend of the show, Dr. Kurt M. Marshik. The competition was inspired by a how-to article that appeared in Popular Mechanics magazine for a small, quote, indie-style vehicle made out of wood and powered by a 5-horsepower Briggs & Stratton engine. So this is why, like, the competition didn't exist, and Dr. Kurt here, he was inspired by this article, so that's why they chose that. And then it just kind of spun from there.
So speaking of 1979,
Ooh, let's hear it.
Fun fact, the rule book from 1979, I looked at it, 11 pages.
Did you see the one from now?
The only one I could find was a 2017 one. It was 181 pages.
I downloaded it, and I was like, I'll just get the high-level rules. I'm like, oh, God.
No, it was, I mean, it's like legit. There's all kinds of like stuff they got to worry about, like safety and rollover, and there's all kinds of analysis they have to do, and hand calcs, and there's so much stuff that goes into it.
It's crazy.
The original rule book was like, yeah, it needs to have 4 wheels, an engine. Don't kill yourself. Kind of thing. So
I don't know about you, but if I built a vehicle, I would not feel safe in it.
See, I consider myself.
We're talking about everything. You could change your brakes.
I consider myself. I do my own brakes.
Yeah,
that doesn't qualify.
Exactly.
And I had to get them fixed after I did them one time. But I consider myself a tinkerer. I mean, I imagine if I did all the simulation and analysis and all that myself, and you just kind of Pull a little extra Loctite on everything. I mean, you're good, right?
Yeah, I think so. Loctite kind of fixes everything.
Yeah,
so.
blue, the red, whatever. Like one holds it and one makes sure that it doesn't bind up, I think.
I'm confident. Okay, so back in 79 when they kicked this thing off, right? 13 teams or 13 schools entered and 11 competed. So I guess 2 of the 13 didn't qualify.
Okay.
Right? I guess that makes sense. They didn't have something passable. The University of Texas at El Paso won the overall competition. And I believe ever since then they've been kind of like a bit of a powerhouse in Formula SAE.
I have some stats on who won in 2019 we can talk about a little bit later. But
that's not fair.
In 2019, there were
all over the place.
120 teams. 109, I guess, actually made it
on site. So I wonder what happened to the other 11. Did they just tap out because they didn't have something to run?
I looked at like some of the requirements that weren't just in the rule book, but there was like really specific like shipping regulations to get the cars.
Yeah.
Because, this is international. This is all over the world. So my guess is some of them just either had logistical issues. Maybe they didn't complete the car in time. Whatever it might be. And also in 2019, there was over 2,500 students participating, and they do it at Michigan International Speedway in Brooklyn, Michigan.
Brooklyn, Michigan. Not to be confused with Brooklyn, New York.
I wouldn't confuse those.
Can I go back to 81 again?
Shoot.
I know that you're really interested in 2019.
I am.
But I'm interested in the history, which is very unusual for me.
Yes, it is.
81, SAE International, formerly known as Society of Automotive Engineers, which I didn't know was even really a thing, developed and managed the first Formula SAE student competition, thanks to Ron Matthews, professor at University of Texas. So it's now expanded to include a bunch of different events, which I guess that's good. In the United States, there's 2 competitions managed by SAE International. Internationally, the expansion's gotten kind of crazy. There's like 20 different events internationally that you can compete in. I don't think most of the teams really compete in all of the stuff because, again, these are just college kids. It's not like they're traveling all over the world to do this. I may be wrong, but so be it.
I also imagine a lot of this is self-funded, so there's probably a lot of hoagie sales and.
What? I always like those hoagie sales.
It
is. It's a lot of self-funding, or at least you're getting donations from someone. But a lot of the schools have like funding set aside for these programs as well. I have something written down somewhere about it, but yeah, it's not like you're just rolling in cash to make this happen. Fun fact, in 2007, an offshoot called Formula Hybrid was kicked off. So it's pretty similar to Formula SAE, but shockingly, all cars must have gasoline electric hybrid power plants in them. So that's kind of cool.
So the other collegiate competitions, and we don't have time to go into all of these for sure, but we can run down. You mentioned the hybrid. There's also Formula SAE Electric, which is all electric.
Ooh.
There is something called SAE Super Mileage, which obviously they're trying to get. These are the really long, pointy cars that get super good gas mileage. They have an SAE, and this one was weird, SAE Clean Snowmobile Challenge.
Clean snowmobile?
I'm assuming it means like clean energy. It's probably electric. It's probably an electric snowmobile or a hybrid style engine.
It has nothing to do with like mud being on it.
No. It's specifically related to just like the performance characteristics of the engine is my guess. I didn't dig into the details, but I'm guessing snowmobile because maybe Michigan is really popular and they like snowmobiling and like why of all devices a snowmobile. They also have one called Baja, so imagine like a mini like the Formula but like big knobby tires, super plush suspension. They also do.
Isn't there like a Baja Fresh? Is that a thing?
They used to make good sandwiches.
Okay.
I haven't been to one in a while.
Good to know.
I think they had a little bit of green onion outbreak
okay.
a little while back. They have an auto drive challenge, which is basically the self-driving car challenge, and they also have an SAE Aero, which is
airplane,
paper
airplanes.
It's not paper airplanes, but it is an airplane, like a model size airplane.
I don't know about you, but I make a sick paper airplane.
Mine's like 50-50.
I'm really good at getting them to smash right in the ground. Yeah. Okay, well that's cool. There's a bunch of them out there then. I think I would try that snowmobile one.
I like the Baja because the idea of like going off of like jumps and
Oh
stuff
yeah,
would be pretty cool.
you're
I
pretty
think.
wild though.
I am wild.
I'm much tamer than you.
I'm very wild.
I'd do like Formula SAE minivan. That would be more my speed. Okay, before we get into the rules of Formula SAE, let's take a break for a word from our sponsor.
I have to assume it's SAE.
SAE International has proudly sponsored this.
No, they have not.
No, they have not. But I do have some shout outs. Actually, I just wanted to give one shout out to this one. Rod C. and the Ferris State University FSAE team. Woo woo! He wrote in and suggested this topic. So let's hear it for Brutus the Bulldog, spending their days in the Swan Machine Tool Lab, making this thing happen.
The Bulldogs? That's their
I
mascot?
think that's what I saw when I Googled, because I didn't know what a Ferris State University is. So it turns out they're bulldogs.
So this is the cat that suggested, one of the cats that suggested
He's
we
technically
do
the
this.
bulldog that suggested it, yes.
Okay.
So thank you, Rod. I appreciate the write-in. If you have a suggestion on a topic that we may or may not cover, why don't you email, it's true, why don't you email us at unprofessionalengineering@gmail.com. You can also write in and ask for some sweet stickers, which the Formula SAE team of Ferris State University is going to get and proudly put on their vehicle.
Oh, they better.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. That's going to be like our crowning achievement in life.
And then make sure you subscribe.
Oh,
Those
that's
of you
good.
listening, subscribe, share, give us a review,
Ooh,
like.
a review would be nice.
You can yell at your Alexa devices to play Unprofessional Engineering to listen to the most recent episodes if you have those laying around your house or in your car. So check us out.
Ain't that the truth? All right, moving on. How about the rules? Did you look at any of the rules, Luke?
I started to, but then it seemed really complicated to research, so I figured I'd let you do that.
Okay, that's reasonable. I did this all after reading that 180-page book or whatever it was.
Yeah.
The one I downloaded was only 134 pages. So, I got a brief version of it.
Gotcha.
So the teams must be made up entirely of active college students, including the driver. So no professional drivers out there, which places obvious restrictions on like the hours you can work and the skill set you have and how much experience you have, things like that. Students are allowed to receive advice and criticism, which is what I would provide
I'd be
you.
so adviseful.
I am so critical.
Yeah.
It's not a good trait. I'm sorry,
That's
everyone,
why
that I
you
criticize.
and I would work like
We're
you,
like peanut butter and jelly.
You would smash them down, and I would build them up, James.
That's right. Build them up with Loctite.
Loctite.
All right. So anyways, you're allowed advice and criticism from other professional engineers out there or even faculty, but all of the car design must be done by the students. I don't know how you really enforce that, but okay. Students are solely responsible for fundraising. So this is what we just talked about, though most of the, quote, successful teams are based on curricular programs and have university-sponsored budgets. So this is like part of their curriculum, and they got cash money.
And I would have to assume that more money means better performance.
Mo money, mo problems is what they say. I don't know if you know that. I would think that that's what it means, right? Okay. So.
Wow, you got me on that one.
All right. Let's talk about the engine. How about that?
Shoot.
It must be a 4-stroke Otto-cycle piston engine with the displacement no greater than 710 cc's.
So that's like 9,000 horsepower. So that's pretty powerful.
It's pretty powerful. It's actually fairly powerful. Like, they get up to a pretty decent speed. An air restrictor of circular cross-section must be fitted downstream of the throttle and upstream of any compressor with a diameter no greater than 20 millimeters for the gasoline engine. Different things like that. Most commonly, production 4-cycle 600cc sport bike engines are used. Though some teams actually use a smaller, like twin or single cylinder engine. And I actually saw 1 or 2 teams that went out and built their whole engine themselves.
That would be pretty cool.
That seems like a terrible idea. You're telling me you think you can do it better than these people that have been mass producing these for years?
But if you're trying to learn.
Well, I'm not trying to learn. I'm trying to win.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, learning, I think that would be amazing. But I'm guessing you get a lot of engine time anyways as you're working on this stuff. So usually people are going with the 600cc sports bike engine. The suspension is unrestricted, safe for safety regulations. Most teams opt for an independent suspension or a double wishbone, and not like the football thing. You know the double wishbone? the wishbone formation in
Yeah, I
college
do.
football? Okay.
I do.
Aerodynamics. There are very few regulations for aerodynamics. Most teams don't actually build aerodynamic packages, as the speeds involved don't usually get above like 60 miles per hour. So it's not like you're really gaining a lot of benefit for what you're adding in there.
Yeah, but if you listen to our Pine Car Derby episode,
Oh, man.
even though these cars are at low speed, aero plays a big part. And now, granted, it's a much shorter distance they're traveling, and there might be some relative stuff with the size of the cars, but I would think aero would be one of the places you could, if there's no restriction, you could go crazy with it.
So a couple things. One, low speeds only applied to your Pinewood Derby car. Mine was flying.
It was flying.
It was moving at least 0.01 second faster than yours. But another thing is that judging tends to frown upon the aerodynamic parts that don't have definitive testing and test data behind them. So this means that you have to do additional wind testing and FEA or CFD analysis on them.
Gotcha.
So a lot of wind testing is used, or at least computational fluid dynamics is used.
CFD.
A lot of the people that I read about and got their input from, not talking personally, just the Googles, said if you do CFD analyses, make sure to do wind tunnel and actual testing as well, because it lies to you.
Yeah.
So it makes me feel like, one, they did it wrong, and two, they're correct. It does lie to you.
Yeah.
But it gives you the general direction of stuff. Okay, the weight. You ready for the weight?
I'm guessing this thing can't weigh more than 750 pounds.
There is no weight restriction, Luke. There is none. The weight of the average competitive vehicle weighs less than 440 pounds, though.
Okay.
With race trim.
That'd be all carbon, right?
So they do a lot of lightweighting. So a lightweight single-cylinder car can be could actually be helpful because of the way the judging happens. So they're doing a lot of stuff, like you're saying, carbon fiber, composite materials, expensive machinings of parts to keep the weight down.
They should check out generative design.
I know, right? Is it free still? For students, maybe it is. I don't know.
They got to pay for credit somehow, I'm sure.
Yeah. So here's an interesting example.
Shoot.
So the lightweight versus the speedier car. How about that? So in the 2009 series, we'll go with series, third place finisher, Rochester Institute of Technology, RIT, right up the road in New York. Mudcats. They completed the endurance course. So there's a bunch of different things that you run. The endurance course in 22 minutes and 45 seconds with their 4-cylinder car. So that was third place. Fourth place finisher, Oregon State University. Beavers?
Ducks.
I think Oregon's the Ducks and Oregon State's the Beavers.
Okay.
Anyways, they finished in 22 minutes and 47 seconds, so 2 seconds worse, with their single-cylinder car. This gave RIT 290.6 points out of 300, and it gave Oregon State 289.2 points. However, Oregon State used the least fuel of any car, 0.671 gallons, over the entire endurance race, and received the full 100 points for the fuel economy judging portion of this, while RIT used way more, 1.16, so half a gallon more, which was a lot, and was only awarded 23.9 of the available points.
So it's
you have to weigh that.
Not just speed. You might be a little bit slower, but if you're lighter and use less, okay.
Right, yeah. So the last thing for the rules that I was going to talk about would be the safety regulations. Of course, safety is a big concern for this sort of thing.
Always.
Especially, we are big supporters of safety, right?
Big.
So I support big. Cars must have 2 steel roll hoops of a designated thickness and material property, regardless of the composition of the rest of the chassis. So these things always have to be in place to keep our valuable students safe. So that's always good. There's also some sort of impact stuff involved with the nose, and impact testing data has to be provided as well. So keeping everybody safe. And then the last thing, do you have anything to add about the rules? I feel like I've been yapping a lot.
No, I told you. I honestly did not look into the rules. I did know about the student piece of it.
Okay. So the last thing I want to talk about now would be judging the car. So it's judged on a bunch of different things. So there's static events like the design event, the cost and manufacturing analysis gets points, and presentation event, 150, 175 points respectively.
Okay.
And then the dynamic events, which would, I guess, be the actual driving kind of thing. You have the acceleration event, clearly how you
Sounds like
accelerate.
fun.
That sounds like a good one. Skid pad event, autocross event. I assume you're our driver for that.
Have you ever autocrossed?
No, I have
I
not.
autocrossed a Subaru Outback station wagon.
Really?
Yeah, a friend of mine had an Audi A4, and he's like, "Oh, we should go autocrossing with me." And I had an Impreza, and that was in the shop the day it happened. I was like, "Oh, I'll just take my wife's Subaru Outback," and I was the only one there with a station wagon.
Yeah, well,
I did terrible.
Did you?
Yeah.
But you did. You competed.
But I did. I competed.
That's right. And you didn't look at the fuel economy of that
I did
part,
not.
so you probably won at that. That's the last two here. So after autocross, there's the fuel economy and the endurance event, which we just gave you an example of. Summing up to a total of 1,000 points. If you get the most of those 1,000 points, you're the winner. Woo-woo. That was good. I like the excitement. Okay, there's a bunch of other examples, like the best use of E85 ethanol fuel, things like that.
Is that a thing anymore?
E85?
Yeah, I mean,
I just
I
pulled
see
up
it
the Sheets
occasionally.
the other day, and they
Sheets
had
is
it.
the only
And I
place that
skipped
carries
it. Yeah, I was like, well, I'm not putting that in the old truck.
Can your truck do E85?
I don't think so.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Before we move on, I think it's a good time to take a break for this week's Luke's rant.
Okay, so my rant is related to funding your. There's a theme here with the two we're recording today. Is making sure that all of you folks who are out there listening, all the engineers, future engineers, you're out there working, get involved with. We interviewed a lady last week that teaches STEM at a high school, middle school age. Make sure you folks get involved.
Get involved
in your high school communities and in your STEM classes. Reach out to your local universities. See if there's ways you can help. You'd be surprised. You think that these schools, these high schools and middle schools and colleges have all this help, and you assume no one needs you. And I actually got an email from the principal at my daughter's school the other day. He remembered something I said to him in passing, and here they have 0 parents helping out and sponsoring any of their STEM stuff.
I'm disappointed in
And
you,
he
Luke.
knows that I work for Autodesk. Again, we had a different conversation. So I just assumed a school that big, there's got to be at least 20 other parents involved with this program, and there's not a one. So
are you getting involved?
I am.
Are you really?
I am. I'm going to donate a little
I
time.
doubt that.
Autodesk allows us to donate some of our time to go help and volunteer and do different things. So I'm going to do that, and I'm going to wrangle you into probably giving some of your donation hours too in some way.
It's like the blind leading the blind.
It is a little bit. I mean, I'm not going to say it's going to be good, but yeah, so I encourage all of you out there, all you engineers, and even if you're not, even if you're just like tech savvy, get out there, volunteer in your local high schools and communities and your colleges. Make sure we help these future generations of engineers and designers and makers and the people who are going to be adults, just like me and you in a few years.
Scary and be like us.
It
I think
is.
that was nice, Luke. Well said.
You're welcome.
And it wasn't a rant. That was nice. Okay, do you want to talk about how to build a winning car?
I'm assuming you make it light.
There's just 5 easy steps.
I assume it's 5 easy steps.
Yeah. Know the rules was number 1. And you said there's 180 pages, so maybe not that easy of a step. Number 2, build your team that can work well together and know how to handle conflict and manage projects. So I was reading about it, and it's like, you don't necessarily need to have the smartest people. You need to have people that can work together and even get their hands dirty. Because a lot of the times you find that 4.0 isn't really going to be able to, weld 2 pieces together or something like that.
Good point.
So keep that in mind.
What's number 3?
Order of operations is important. Concept, you work out the
division. No.
Yeah. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. You remember that?
I do remember
that. Concept of the car and simulation phase are usually done in the summer. So this is like a year-round gig, which sounds terrible. I had to work at Subway. I didn't have time for this. Sandwich artist. Okay, anyways. So this is usually done in the summer or early fall. So you should be done by September at the latest with this part.
Of course.
Like what kind of engine you should run, wheel size, gearing, all of that sort of stuff. You do one mass simulation around the racetrack to get a general feel for the vehicle, understand your tires. The end goal and concept simulation and a list of vehicle specs. So vehicle weight, wheelbase, power unit, downforce targets. So you need all of this for your calculations, but then they also require you to have this information made available to the judges as well. So then the design phase, you always end up making a 3D computer-aided design, CAD. I would suggest reaching out to Autodesk, who makes all of their software free to students. So you could use all of that not only for Autodesk Inventor or AutoCAD for 2D, but you got your 2D, your 3D, your simulation, all that.
Fusion.
I'm sure all of our other CAD packages have these things available as well, but why go with inferior products? Quick tip, be sure to back up your simulation with good old-fashioned hand calculations. I know, I hate hand calcs too.
That's what a computer's for.
I know, I agree. So you do that sort of stuff, and also make sure you design for manufacturability. So we make great CAD models, but it doesn't mean the parts are actually makeable.
I was really, really good at designing stuff that couldn't be made.
Yeah.
I was great at that.
Yeah, that's good. I was good at that too, like interfering parts and all that, not applying constraints to my models. Yeah. Okay, manufacturing and assembly. So it takes about 3 months, puts you in the March time frame where you make your parts and slap them all together. And then testing. So not only testing the vehicle to see the speeds and how you can tweak things to make it better, but also the driver training, which is one of the biggest contributors.
I would have to assume, I've been in the car with people that I assume are good drivers because they have a nice car, and then you get in their car and they are the worst driver on the face of the earth. It's just it has to be. I'd have to say that if you took 2 identical cars and one performed poorly previously, I would think that a good driver could make that car win.
Yeah.
In a speed test.
Well, that's what they said. A team that has a world-class driver and a crap car is going to do better than a team that has a crap driver and a great car that he's working with.
Yep.
So super important to get out there. I know you have a lot of cool stuff about winning teams. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, so in 2019, so just this past year, the top 4 teams, and this is kind of sad actually, at least for America, right?
America?
So number 1 was Universität Stuttgart in Germany. They came in first place overall. Not specific competitions, but overall they won. Graz Technical University in Austria, came in second.
Convenient location of those 2 teams.
Very convenient. And then École de Technologia Supremia up in Canada.
Yeah, I know that one.
Of course, good school.
Ooh, I'm looking at your stats right now.
University of Michigan, Ann Arbor came in 4th place.
Good job, University of Michigan.
For you, James.
I see that. Thank you.
Penn State came in 79th place.
I can't help it that we're too busy focusing on our academics to screw around with this stuff.
Yeah.
Ouch. Hey, Penn State, if you need me to advise you, reach out. Tweet us at whatever our Twitter handle is. Boom. What do you think about that? Unproeng. I saw that our German friends there, what was it? University of something?
Stuttgart,
2016 through 2019 champions. That's a long reign. This is a dynasty.
The crazy thing, too, is, even in,
and 2013. So and they might have tied in 14 and 15.
So it's no joke. German engineering is superior.
Yeah, or at least their curriculum's built around this a little more significantly than some of these other schools. That's very impressive.
Yeah.
I saw the Formula SAE Lincoln results. So in 2019, Montreal, Polytechnic Montreal came in first. But in 18 and 17, Texas University was a winner, as well as Carnegie Mellon University right here in Pittsburgh. Carnegie Mellon, if you need somebody that you can teach how to do this stuff, reach out to me because I can't help you. And the University of Pennsylvania, not to be confused with the Pennsylvania State University, also was a winner in there.
So I feel like we got to get a little bit of shout out to just SAE as an organization. Can I do that, James?
I would love for you to do that. I'd love nothing more than that.
I know. So I just assumed that SAE, because I've always heard it and it was Formula SAE. I thought they were just a competition for collegiate race cars. Apparently, there's actually Society of Automotive Engineers, SAE. Back in the early 1900s, there were dozens and dozens of automotive manufacturers doing stuff.
That's a lot.
The problem was they were having issues like sourcing parts and making sure there was some kind of commonality. And apparently there were two gentlemen that were involved with publications at the time that were really involved with like the automotive industry, and they actually came together and came up with this idea of forming this association so that engineers from Ford and Chevrolet and all these other ones, they could actually collaborate and not worry about like sharing secrets, best practices, that sort of
nice.
stuff.
Yeah.
Common manufacturing practices for supplier components, all kinds of stuff. So that's basically the early portion of SAE, and their mission is to advance mobility knowledge and solutions for the benefit of humanity.
It's a good mission.
Their vision,
Oh, boy.
SAE is a leader in connecting and educating mobility professionals to enable safe, clean, and accessible mobility solutions.
Do you know the difference between a mission statement and a vision?
I don't.
Me neither.
I just read both of
I
them.
feel like sometimes they like just make this up. Like I thought one was supposed to be achievable within a certain time period, and then the other was like the ever striving for goal. But it doesn't seem like either of those are achievable.
You could
like,
flip.
you always
you
improve.
could flip either one of those.
Yeah. Well, that's nice.
And then just a final kind of fun fact before we, I think, wrap it up here. In the inaugural year of 1905, Andrew Reichner served as president, and an up-and-coming engineer, the talented Henry Ford, served as the society's first vice president. So Henry Ford was the very first VP. Make sure you check out our episode.
Oh, that's right, on
good
Henry
old,
Ford.
Henry Ford.
Well, on Henry Ford.
The initial membership costs $10 a year to be a member.
Wow. That was big money back then, I bet.
Apparently it was.
Maybe. I don't know. Well, good for Henry Ford.
Yeah.
Helping out. That was very interesting, Luke. Thanks for
agree.
that. Thanks for that added value.
I try.
Yeah, you did a good job. Okay, well, hopefully all of you found some added value. If you have additional questions about Formula SAE, why don't you reach out to the Bulldogs at Ferris State University, because they probably have a lot better answers than we do.
I'm sure they do.
Thanks for writing in and giving us that suggestion. Again, if any of you have any ideas, email us at unprofessionalengineering@gmail.com. And until next time.
See ya.